Honorable Mayor Agwell and the Saanich Council. Thank you for this opportunity to present to you on behalf of the Horticulture Centre Pacific this evening. My name is Anne Cadwell. I am the General Manager and College Director. I've been with the HCP for the past 16 months. So this is my first time before you, so please pardon the nerves a little bit. During this time, the past 16 months that I've been with the HCP, there's been some amazing changes. Tonight, I want to tell you about those changes and what we foresee our future to be. But before starting our presentation, I have some really great supporters here tonight. We have Linda Petit, our head gardener, Deborah Donahue, who is our financial administrator. Give us a hand. Larry Phillips, who is our acting chair at the moment. We have 3 board members. One is Rob DeGrew, Jim Hatkins, and Rick Sinclair. Thanks guys for coming tonight. 2015 was a very busy year for everybody, and that was definitely the case for the HCP. A lot of things happened, and here are a couple of our accomplishments. We re-established our ethnobotany trail. Fortunately, Hope returned with the ethno charge, bringing a great deal of his history and education to share with the general public as well as our students. Plant propagation and trailblazing continues, with an end result being a public display, interactive trail open to all. We signed our 5-year agreement with the Saanich Parks to manage Outer Bridge. Restoration started in September. We were in partnership with the parks. Our volunteers worked in partnership day after day to restore some areas. Our college students designed 2 brand new perennial beds, so if you get an opportunity, do go for a walk in Outer Bridge. And Outer Bridge continues to be the urban escape it is. Actually, it was kind of nice. I was at CD Saturday last weekend, and a person came up to me and they said, wow, thank you so much for what you do at Outer Bridge, because it really is a place where she can get away and she walks her dog. And she thanked us, and it felt really good. Nourish Cafe in the spring of 2015 did receive a new roof, ventilation system, as well as a fire suppression system. Our college got a much needed roof and new windows because they were literally falling out of their panes. So I'm happy to say that our students are dry and cozy once again. The Cuvelier Pavilion is starting to get more and more utilized. We host a number of local food dining events this past year. We had the CTV family picnic. There were many corporate Christmas parties. And we've already had some new annual events there. Actually, our mayor was there in February for the first Saanich CD Saturday. We have partnerships up again with Halliburton Farms, and we'll be holding that again next year, so I hope you can all come. We had to reestablish a core team. When I started in November 2014, there was only 2 full-time staff. That is not enough to run a botanical gardens and a horticultural college. So the rebuilding began. I hired an office manager / event manager in February 2015. A community education volunteer coordinator in June 2015. We had a part-time assistant in the gardens to help with peak growing season and watering. And together we gel. It really does work. We wear many hats, but we're able to entwine, and we work very, very well together. I guess you can say we love what we do and where we do it. With all this new energy comes a positive vibe that can be felt when you enter the gardens. It's one of a common vision, transparency and communication, a love for education, and love for people and plants. Actually, I guess the vibe was so good that one of our longtime standing volunteers sneaked into our lunchroom and left this. So this was autumn 2015. Bob has been with us. He's the one who built our Takata garden almost from scratch. So again, this felt great. The vibe was definitely starting to happen. So 2015 for us was a year of amending our soils. We had to regroup and we had to rebuild. But we are beginning to thrive and we are starting to blossom. Our financial situation. As you all are aware, we are asking for additional funding in our operating grants this year. We have not had an increase in over 9 years. And it comes at a time which is much needed to move forth in our growth as a garden and as a college. I believe all of you have our 2015 financials, and they do show a small profit. It appears to look great, but it is reflective of some large donations that did happen in 2015, and those donations are put towards capital projects. We do run a very, very tight budget with no room or margin for unforeseen circumstances. Our situation really is that we do not have any operating flow. And the reason being is we are dependent on large donations. Donations aren't directed into operations, they're usually directed into projects. We have restricted funds like everybody does, and they cannot be used for operations. And as you all are aware, we do have a significant debt payment. We need to increase our operating flow for a reason, and it's because we need to hire some more staff people. Presently, my staff wears 2 to 3 hats, and I'm afraid that they're going to burn out. I don't want that to happen because I love my team. We want to invest in some new computers. Why? Because we can't even upgrade the ones that we have right now. They're well over 15 years old. And we need to pay some bills and improve our infrastructure. We need to support the good team that I have to give them the effective tools to be efficient. So in order to expand our educational ability and community outreach, ongoing operating support is essential. We have the team to do it, and I believe now is the time to do it. 2016 is one of cultivation and growth. Oops. So how are we going to grow? What's going to happen in 2016? We have so many ideas, and maybe we're a little too eager, but this is what we hope to do. We want to expand our community education programs. So right now, if you're familiar with any of our programs, they tend to be one workshop. Now we want to have a series of workshops. For example, growing medicinal herbs, right from seed to into the garden, to harvesting, to using those herbs. A whole series of workshops. And that would work for food farming, for cut flower gardening. We want to strengthen our volunteer program to get more volunteers into the garden. And we're going to do that through offering them some education in horticulture, as well as some support programs through first aid, things like that, even gardening for yoga so that they're out there and they're limber and they learn to stretch and everything. Our college curriculum really needs to become more current. We want to start putting in permaculture, vegetable growing. Our Poly 3 is one of our greenhouses, and it's in dire need of restructure, new poly. We need the space, we really need the space to start growing for the propagation of the students. Garden growth. So I've talked about capital projects. One of our big capital projects that we hope to see off in 2016 is the opening of our gardens. When you come down Beaver Road right now, you see a beautiful wall of ivy. And it's not overly inviting visually to the public. And we want to take down that wall. We want to open up the gardens. We want to have a nice big gate. We want everyone to see that we're here and that they're welcome to come in. That's a huge capital project that's happening this year. We have a new bed construction, our hydrangea garden that's happening. We're hoping for more educational signage throughout the gardens, which is essential for knowledge gained by those who enter into the garden. And of course, our infrastructure and technology. We'd like to invest in some new workstations, repair some roofs, windows, gutters, and renovate our portable. HCP is all about community, education, and connecting people with plants. It's time to get growing. We're ready to blossom, to continue to show the community that we are current with our education, and for everyone to come in and learn why it's important to invest in your horticulture future. HCP continues to have partnerships. We have a lot of them. Some of them include the Victoria Horticulture Society, Victoria Master Gardeners, Habitat Acquisition Trust, Victoria Commerce, Halliburton Farm, the list goes on. Together, we're walking down the right path, and I hope you all share our dream to be the horticulture excellence, a place where people can come from all walks of life and learn about the earth which they walk on, the environment around them, or simply just come for a garden stroll, just to get out of the hustle and bustle. You are all welcome at the HCP. As you know, our next big event is the Arts and Music Festival in August. It's a great time, lots of music, lots of energy, it's a lot of fun. I thank you for all of your ongoing support. Susan, you've been wonderful this year, thank you so much. And I will now open the floor to any questions you might have, or if you want to ask my staff too.
All right, thank you. Councilor German, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. How old did you say your computers were?
Well, some of them are 12.
Pretty old, then.
All right.
For sure. There are, of course, institutions such as the provincial government that often turn over computers that are 3 years old, and they have a process of disposing of them, selling them off. I'm not sure what your requirements are, but that could be a possible source
That's great.
of upgrade.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how programs are going with local schools. It seems to me that's a natural relationship where we would love to get more kids, I think, understanding where food comes from and being perhaps even involved in creating it. Is that kind of thing growing in the garden?
It is, and actually we hope to be building an outdoor structure called an outdoor classroom, where we have schools come in and their tours will start right there, kind of at the beginning of the Ethnobotany Trail. Paula McCormick is our youth program person. She works with high schools and elementaries, and we do have school tours that come through. With the Ethnobotany Trail opening, we're going to see more of that, and we hope to hold some more hands-on work within the gardens for schools.
I know from my past experience as liaison that you have a tremendous group of volunteers and also a pretty loyal membership. Do you have much in the way of granting, somebody who handles grants, somebody who handles plan giving, somebody who looks to handle bequests and things of that nature?
Well, right now we do have a plan giving program. I just finished revising the Bench Tribute program. I'm basically the grant seeker when I have some time. But at this time, no, we don't have somebody specific. We do have a fundraising committee formed now with some board members who are looking into further grants as well. We apply for a lot of grants.
Thank you.
Councilor Plant, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome to Saanach's annual request for funding. I would like to inquire.
It's a catchy title.
I know, but I meant welcome to this for your first time.
Request for funding fair.
I would like to inquire what the Horticultural Center of the Pacific is doing regarding community gardens. Approximately 1.5 to 2 years ago, there was a survey put out to the community that you were undertaking the feasibility of it, and I'm wondering if you could provide an update today.
Right, and it's funny because I did sit in this room last year when Ron Cox was speaking, and that did come up, so I did do some research actually immediately. The survey that was conducted proved to not be feasible due to the area of which the community gardens would be going into, which is the space right across from Kamosum. But since basically that was the end of it, it's just it wouldn't be feasible. There's be a problem with parking, there's no irrigation, there was a number of different things that would happen with that.
When you
I
say
can send you the survey summary as well.
Sure, I would be taking interest in that. I think this council is interested in seeing more community gardens in the region and the logical fit between the HCP and perhaps Royal or rural Saanich.
Right, we actually do hope to have food farming program in community education, so we are building some more retaining beds to do that, which will be on the main kind of down urban garden kind of area. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I would like to see that report, but certainly not in any way to not believe that it wasn't viable. We're just more curious to see what people were saying. Thank you.
Any more more questions from council? All right, seeing none, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item 4 on the agenda, and we'll invite representatives of the Swan Lake Christmas Hill Nature Sanctuary.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I'd like to introduce very briefly a few of the guests that are with me this evening joining me. I'm Kathleen Burton, the Executive Director of Swan Lake Christmas Hill Nature Sanctuary. And to my right is Joan Cowley, our Board Chair. Stephen Chang, our Vice Chair. Brian Warburton, the Board Director and a Neighborhood Community Member. And Jay Rastogi, our Site Manager. The Society is happy to be able to bring to you an update on our activities and our services, and to provide a perspective on the Nature Sanctuary, especially for anyone new in the audience and council members who may not be overly familiar with the work that you all so generously support. And I would be remiss to not thank Councillor Haynes as well for his services this past year, and Susan for your past services too. Thank you. So before I get into a lot of details, I'd like to give a brief history, talk about the celebrating of the 40 years of our anniversary that we had this year, and talk a little bit about what's happening within Saanich residents and the beyond the benefit that we have, and then get into how the district can help. So thanks to your support over the years, the Sanctuary celebrated its 40th anniversary this past year, and we have just entered our 41st year. The story of the Sanctuary, however, starts long before that, and the credit is due largely to partners like yourselves, to the District of Saanich, to your planning department staff, and as well to some amazing Swan Lake volunteers. In 1960, Saanich initiated the land acquisition for Swan Lake, and Saanich began acquiring the lands around the lake during the 60s. It was a very forward-thinking move to preserve the lands and the waterways for public use. And then early in the 70s, it was becoming quite evident that the Garry Oak ecosystem was facing some serious threats and issues. Over the span of about 150 years of urban development, Swan Lake and the adjacent ecosystems have experienced a loss of ecosystem health and services. Yet the site, including that of Christmas Hill, is an incredibly valuable amenity. It provides habitat for a wide diversity of wildlife and social and educational experiences for people. Christmas Hill is recognized as an outstanding example of that ecosystem, and was added to your land acquisition program. And the wide range of habitats represented there, from the low wetlands surrounding the lake to the glacier-molded rocky hilltops, form an extremely valuable conservancy. In 1973, the Saanich Planning Department invited a representative for the Audubon Society to make a presentation to council and adapt a concept of a nature education center. Saanich Council supported that idea, and the proposal took shape in this 1973 planning report. I don't know how familiar you are all with it, but we have a couple of copies, and I'd be happy to share them with you. It was with great foresight that Saanich spearheaded this concept and asked the community, and perhaps even some of the people in the room this evening, for assistance to make it all happen. There was representatives from the CRD, who we regularly still partner with, Provincial Parks, the University of Victoria, and the Victoria Natural History Society, as well as School District 61. They all came together, joined with members of the community to work with you, the District of Saanich, to realize the dream. It was these groups that formed Swan Lake Christmas Hill Nature Sanctuary Society, and it was incorporated in June of 1975. The first staff was a team of 2. They were hired in the summer of 1975 to survey and document the site and its ecosystems, and to help plan for the trail system and the educational services that would then follow. There was a small dedicated staff that was hired in September of 1975 to begin some habitat restoration and the development of the trail systems, with a vision that through our eco-management plan, the master plan, that by 2050, Swan Lake be an oasis in an urban environment where native plants and animals can flourish, and that people can enjoy and learn about nature and their place within it. It's located near the heart of Greater Victoria. This site helps to foster stewardship of ecosystems, both near and far. Included in the trail systems developed was the then unique floating boardwalk system at Swan Lake. The system remains, but today a portion of it remains in a major need of a facelift. But I'll have more for you on that just shortly. This past year was a year of change. I came in as a new executive director. We celebrated our 40th anniversary. The board, for 2 years prior to my arriving, basically had been running the sanctuary as the executive director. I have an amazing board of directors, and I am so grateful for how much they are willing to roll up their sleeves and get the work done. And between the staff and the board, when there was no leadership for the 2 years, they did a tremendous job. It was a year of coming in and doing some cleaning up and making some changes, but it was amazing that I came into such a well-organized organization without the executive director for 2 years. It was a celebration year, as I mentioned. We are now well on our way to that 2050 vision that I was mentioning earlier, with 40 years of being kept what I think is the best kept secret in town. And not quite a full year under my own belt in the role as executive director. It's time now for the sanctuary to let everyone know that we are the natural heart of the city, and it awaits everyone in the community. We were awarded the EcoStar Award for Water Stewardship in 2015, an award presented thanks to the sponsorship of the CRD, and it was an award that we were able to receive thanks to donations from organizations like RBC and their Blue Water Stewardship Program, because that was the work that we did that received the award that we were acknowledged for, was very much thanks to that. The work allowed us to focus on ecosystems, and that work will continue this year. It includes, but it is not limited to, water stewardship, invasive species management, and it's anticipated that this work will again be funded through land management fees from the district, and as well through community grants. Today, the Society is supported by over 100 very active, very committed community volunteers. These same committed community volunteers put in over 8,000 hours of their time last year. And if you're interested, you too can volunteer. We have opportunities for you, and we have opportunities for everyone attending in council chambers this evening. Our volunteers come in all shapes and sizes, from those who are young preschoolers to those who are young at heart. The Girl Guides, TD employees, as well as community groups that generously come and lend a hand. Every Tuesday morning for the last 20 years, we have a very committed group of volunteers who come and work in the gardens and are doing invasive species removal and planting, and enjoying cookies and coffee. And of course, our board, our very hard-working volunteer board. So our volunteers give their time and amazing knowledge and talents to things like events. We are the host of Vancouver Island's largest native plant sale. This year it takes place April 23rd and 24th, and volunteers are also currently being trained this year. You'll see there was a package delivered for you before I started this evening, and in it, one of the pieces you'll find from the ground up is a book put put together by Terry Morrison. I'm sure you all know his name in this room. He worked painstakingly to put this together so it can be a guide for our volunteers for one of our new programs that we've implemented this year, the SNAP program, which stands for the Senior Nature Ambassador Program. This booklet will help to guide them and inform them as they're walking the trails and educating people about the history of Swan Lake and about the animals that are there, the plants that are there, and the various ecosystems that people are seeing before them. Should council find some time to make their way around the lake in the coming weeks, if you have a break from the meeting, if you've got a family stroll that you want to take part in, you may see some of these SNAP ambassadors, wonderful people donating their time to educate the community about Swan Lake and history. Those volunteers are there to answer any questions that you may have, and we do ask, engage with them. Let them know that what they're doing for us and volunteering is going to be worthwhile, and that they're appreciated for their time. With the help of amazing site volunteers that I've just been talking about, and thanks in large to the operational management fee that has been provided by the District of Saanich, our sanctuary staff maintain 5 kilometers of trails and carry out habitat restoration over 48 hectares of sanctuary lands around the lake. To put that in perspective, the lake itself is 9 hectares in size. And that doesn't even include Christmas Hill. Christmas Hill includes diverse assemblages of some of the region's rarest plant communities. It includes deep soil Douglas fir and Gary oak woodland, rock outcrops, vernal ponds communities, and the hill is approximately home to 250 plant species, 8 of which are listed as at risk. The bedrock formations typical of the geology of this region have shaped the character of Christmas Hill. And all of this happens while our education staff are inspiring nature programs and activities for over 19,000 people every year, 5,600 of which are school children. You were mentioning school programs earlier. So who glides silently and can turn their head almost completely around? Who can cough up a wicked hairball? Woo! It's the owls. And if you come to our programs, Saanich Council, we invite you to drop in and explore the wonderful world of owls through games, stories, crafts, and hands-on exploration. The kids of all ages love to participate in owl pellet dissection activities. It is one of the things where we too are having to face the Canadian dollar and the issues as owl pellets come from the United States. And so that is costing a lot more than had previously been anticipated in our programming. But the sanctuary, it is a living classroom. It fosters an understanding and an appreciation of nature through direct experiences, like coughed up hairballs. Our educational programs are for all ages. They encourage responsibility for the care and the protection of the natural environment. Your Honor, I encourage you to bring your binoculars and your walking shoes and join those that meet in the parking lot Wednesday mornings for an informal and informative bird walk around the lake area. And if you forget your binoculars, not to worry, we have them available for you for loan at the Nature House, but of course donations are always appreciated. And you can always download a copy of the Sanctuary Bird Checklist from our website as well. So the freaks that come out at night, in this case, for us, they're not so freaky, they're quite beautiful. We have bats, we have raccoons, and as the image shows here, the beautiful barred owl. There's so much for Saanich Council and for the community to come and enjoy at Swan Lake, whether you're on a self-guided tour or coming through one of our programs. Do you see why I really believe that Swan Lake should be a secret no more? I mean, look at this beautiful creature, and he's right here in our backyard. He's here at Swan Lake, and you can find him on Christmas Hill. We offer native plant gardening workshops. They're available at Swan Lake. Again, one of our partnerships that we do with the CRD. Pat Johnson comes in and teaches how to incorporate native plants into your garden, which plants will suit which environments, and the many values of using native plants in your own home gardens. Native plants that you can buy at the plant sale, April 23rd and 24th. So today, I'd like to share with you that the Nature Sanctuary is a much-loved destination for Saanich. For regional residents, it's a place where they can restore their connection to the natural world right here in the heart of this city. And you'll see the way the trails are done. We are the heart of the city. So how can the District of Saanich help? Respectfully, we ask a three-part funding request toward the 2016 budget, which you have in your packages. Our mission is to provide diverse and enriching edgeological experiences, which will inspire personal action towards stewardship activities, and we can do that with your continued support, because your dollars do make a difference. Thank you for your past support, your assistance in seeing the successful, on time and on budget, I might add, completion of Phase 1 of our floating boardwalk project this year was in part due to the grant provided by the district. Your contribution to Phase 1 of the Phase 2 project is much appreciated. The Sanctuary plans to leverage the momentum that had been gained during the 2015 fiscal year, having successfully celebrated the 40th anniversary, increased our media presence substantially, and having held notable a grand reopening of the Phase 1 floating boardwalk. Thank you, Mayor, for